Ah yes, Elden Ring, Nightreign, or as I like to call it, Monster Hunter. But your Palico is a random guy named Ben Dover who keeps pinging castle on level 1. Released in the year of our Lord 2025, Elden Ring Nightreign is a risky project by From Software because it is mainly based on the daring misconception that an average Soulsborne player has 2 friends to play with. Do you wish to play a game so tedious in the beginning, you'll probably uninstall it within 24 hours out of pure, unfiltered helplessness, like a sleep-deprived Victorian orphan with rickets, and yet somehow more addictive than copium-laced gacha pulls at 2 AM, causing you to reinstall it the next morning and rate it 10 out of 10 like nothing happened. Do you want to fight a one-armed centaur whose superpower in Phase 3 is basically regenerating his missing hand and becoming an equestrian Jesus? Or maybe you'd like to experience a video game equivalent of a hangover movie where you and your teammates start the expedition seemingly well, only to find yourself 40 minutes later fighting a Gale boss in the middle of the storm because someone decided it would be a good idea to farm some runes on your way back to the safe zone. If your answer to all questions above is yes, then what the fuck is wrong with you, man? But also, this is Elden Ring Nightreign, a game that proudly features 2 classic FromSoft virtues, industry-leading boss design and engaging, mysterious, interpretation-bait lore, now enhanced by a 3rd sacred pillar the devs have perfected: asset reuse. Because that HD model of Gaping Dragon made by an unpaid intern in 2019 shouldn't just occupy space in corporate Google Drive, said Ishizaki. Probably. So we will see many Dark Souls 1, 2 and 3 bosses returning in this game, and of course we will find countless lore reasons why it makes sense. Time is convoluted in Dark Souls universe after all. So initially I was a bit skeptical about this game because the one thing I hate more than multiplayer is the time limit on a mission. I'm a guy who is 100% in games, and I'm mentally predisposed to look under every rock, nook and cranny. And making a responsible decision of which weapon to take and which weapon to throw away while standing in the middle of a night storm while 10% of your HP ticking away every second is something I have enough in real life. It is called tax season. But for some reason, and the reason is probably spending 100 hours riding across Australia in a cargo truck delivering kangaroo poop to VTubers, maybe want to play something more action-based. So Nightreign it is. Hello, you filthy misbegotten, and special hello to rune bearers of this channel's Platinum Army.
I love you, Mr. Bubs.
My name is Flare, and today we're going to enjoy, suffer, and do all achievements in Elden Ring Nightreign. So ready your 99 arcane builds and your 0 friends, we're going right in.
Platinum, gold, silver, bronze, collect them all, complete the game 100%. You know my name. Platinum, gold, silver.
The game has 37 achievements and a surprisingly high completion rate. 37.5% people actually getting the platinum. Not surprising, as you can get carried through all of the bosses if you play long enough. The only achievement I am worried about at the moment is Nightlord Slayer, that requires you to defeat 3 different Nightlords in a row. Other than that, it is your typical FromSoft trophy list. Kill all bosses, get rare items, find all secrets, etc, etc. We start the game as Wilder, typical John Elden Ring, or in that case, Jim Nightreign, and he is one of the 8 playable characters. In typical Miyazaki fashion, we're thrown into a half-assed tutorial, if you can even call it that, where the game kindly points out which button is to walk, which button is to hit things, and then casually throws you into an unbeatable boss fight. Unless you're one of those YouTubers who can do a no-death, no-hit, no-girlfriend run right off the bat. I, of course, died to Margit, and we get transported in the game's version of Roundtable Hold, which is now on its own private island. And just like every Airbnb, it's full of weird paintings, mysterious stains, and that one doll that suddenly starts moving and spitting lore at you. What, that never happened to you guys? Huh. Also, how come this achievement is like 95.6%? Imagine that 4.4% of people died to Margit, and the game is like,
Put these foolish ambitions to rest.
Our world will be undone. And for this, I need your help.
I start my first expedition and I decided to do it solo, because I would clearly be a liability to any team right now. And boy, the first expedition was hard. You have no idea where to go, what to do, you're trying to do everything fast, and because of that you can't even take time and read the item descriptions. The game does not explain what all those locations are and what they do. I understand it is meant for people to discover everything by themselves gradually across multiple expeditions, but I have to say my first experience was very discouraging. I also picked Raider as my character, and he is much slower than other characters, and his colossal weapon moveset is kinda weird, definitely different than in the original Elden Ring. Nevertheless, after my first expedition, where I didn't even manage to get to the first day's boss, I get my first couple of relics, and being the genius that I am, I equip a relic that has one sole passive meant for Iron Eye to Executor. After a few failed solo runs where I could barely get to the Night 2 boss, I decided it's high time to go online, and that immediately became not only much easier to understand what to do, but also quite fun.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
I also managed to get my hands on Rivers of Blood, and before long our team defeated 10 area bosses for untold power. We still got our ass handed to us by Gladius though, but yeah, it was a good run. Next time I came prepared, sporting a light Naga Kiba, and I was overall more confident in fighting Tricephalus. Hehe, phallus. And finally, the doggo was defeated. But before going further, it's time to...
The tier list nobody asked for, but here it is anyway.
Yeah, we're doing the tier list of all bosses in You Can't Stomp Me. So yeah, Gladius. Of course, that is a good goddamn boss. I mean, because it's the only non-optional boss as it acts as a gatekeeper to the rest of the game. I mean, imagine Maris would be the very first boss you have to defeat. I like his aggressive attacks, I like his deceiving range, especially when he uses his sword, and of course, the moment he splits into 3 doggos is peak multiplayer game design. This is the moment you realize From Software just opened another whole niche of experimentation for them. Designing bosses meant to be defeated by 3 players instead of 1 gives way to so many cool ideas you can do. So yeah, awesome boss, go straight to A tier. The priestess reveals that we have completed the real tutorial of the game and all Nightlords are available to fight.
There are others. Too many, I am afraid.
After that, I decided to run some more solo runs to see if I can defeat Gladius on my own, and during one such run, I managed to get 7 flasks, which got me Replenished Sacred Flasks achievement. I also managed to defeat him solo eventually, so yeah, despite the fact that it's probably the easiest boss to fight solo, I'm quite proud of myself. Later on, I discovered that I can give a pocket watch to the priestess and she reveals to be the Duchess, another playable character.
We'll slay this Nightlord yet.
I also managed to get my hands on the first legendary weapon. And finally, we managed to defeat Adele.
Hello?
No, not that Adele. The big purple dinosaur Adele, yeah. And wow, I definitely picked the wrong character to go against him. Because playing Raider, I spent 90% of the fight just chasing this crazy chicken around the arena, draining my stamina in the process and missing every possible bonk. At the same time, I was still getting used to all the new mechanics and playstyles that Nightreign introduces. Rewatching the footage, I noticed that I barely used the skills, because I would forget about those in the middle of the fight. Overall, Adele is a great fight, it's just not my type of fight. He's super erratic, he runs around a lot, I find it hard to dodge his sudden lunges, and it took ages to realize it is easier to jump during his stomps than roll. Does it affect Adele's overall positioning in the tier list? Absolutely, 100% it does. It's my subjective list based on nothing more than a gut feeling, 3 brain cells and caffeine withdrawal. But of course, I cannot call it a bad boss. It's just okay. So, Adele rightfully goes into B tier for me. But also, let's not forget that there's an Everdark version. Everdark Sovereign is a buffed up version of the boss released post-game launch, and the whole shtick here is that the boss will start right away in the phase 2 and then transition to the new phase 3 at 50 or 60% health. And for Adele, it is actually quite cool. He will wind up a big tornado around himself, and unless you want to die, you need to jump right in the eye of the storm using a newly formed spirit spring. And to be honest, the whole idea of fighting an electrified T-Rex in the eye of the massive storm is just...
Yes! Yeah!
The only thing I'd change is making the inside of the storm even smaller, but having it last for less time. So you're forced to get up close and personal with Adele, dodge his relentless attacks, or get ragdolled into the fucking stratosphere. But yeah, Everdark Adele goes to A tier because it's just a hate crime against melee builds, and I respect that. After several expeditions, I managed to scrape by some Merc, which is an in-game roguelike currency you can spend on different power-ups, and eventually I bought a new vessel. You see, every character has a 3-slot, multicolored vessel where you insert relics. Each relic has its own color, so you can only match them to the corresponding slots. The good news is, you can buy multiple different vessels with different color layouts for the same character using Merc. And that's exactly what I did, swapped to a new vessel and instantly got an achievement. Back at the expeditions, we managed to get Old Gale achievement by defeating the Godskin duo that emerged from it. To be honest, I still don't know how to differentiate an Old Gale from not so old Gale, because all of them seems to look completely identical. I guess if it spawns a full-fledged boss like Godskin duo, Dragonkin Soldier or a Graveside Bird, then it is automatically becomes an Old Gale, or not. Anyway, you will get this achievement in the first 5-6 hours of gameplay easily. And not long after, I also got my first raid. These are random events that will just kick down your door, eat your lunch, and also will do it in the most inappropriate time ever. This time we got Margit. And this motherfucker just spawned right in the middle of our party getting carpet bombed by castle trolls. Landed right on top of our heads and tried to recreate our spines and abstract geometry. Fortunately, we were able to defeat him and got the Fell Omen achievement. And during the same expedition, we also managed to defeat Noster. And to be honest, it is kinda my least favorite fight so far. It's long, tedious, and both phase 1 and 2 have like one bullshit move that you either need to run away from or just accept your defeat like an honorable warrior. So for me, it's a C tier, because nothing says epic like watching the same rush attack in phase 2 like 7 times in a row. It's Magma Worm tier bullshit.
I can't control myself.
Everdark version of Noster yet again makes this fight much better. In phase 3, we're introduced to the third bug, Animus. This eldritch butterfly will not only revive both Noster and Fortis, but also possesses one of them to empower all their attacks. And not to mention that Animus can only be attacked when it does the fleshy ult or leaves the possessed body. So Animus is a nice plot twist to the overall fight, so I'm gladly putting this into B tier. For Sad and Steadfast achievement, you need to get many pieces of high rarity equipment on a single expedition. How many exactly? Only Miyazaki probably knows, so you just have to keep playing until RNG gods smile at you and you get like 5 legendary weapons. Probably on a Noclatio run, most probably on Everdark Maris. If you know, you know. Also, I think I accidentally found a cheese strategy. The achievement popped for me when I dropped a legendary item before the final boss. None of my teammates wanted it, so I figured it would be a waste and picked it back up. That's when the achievement triggered. So, potentially you can get this achievement by getting exactly one legendary item and repeatedly dropping and picking it up. Seems like the game will register it every time as a new item and give you the achievement eventually. So yeah, try it and let me know if it works. We also managed to defeat Fulgor, the Dark Drift Knight. It was a cool fight. But then again, I played an Iron Eye, and this fight is very easy when you have 2 Iron Eyes and S tier guy playing Wilder. But eventually, this boss became the one I replayed the most. Not just because he's relatively simple to fight, his attacks are nicely telegraphed, though I still struggle with that cursed noodle arm in phase 2. But also because it's just a cool boss experience overall. So Fulgor goes to A tier. Not quite S tier, because that spot is reserved for Everdark Fulgor. Oh man, I made a joke about this at the beginning, but bro, just look at this. With 4 Nightlords defeated, we get another cutscene and unlock the final boss. Holster. Holster? Holster. I'll call him Holster. And while we can go straight to him, I wanted to complete every other boss at least once, so yeah. See ya in 15 hours, man.
The onset of night.
Shut up and get to the point!
The time has come.
By that time, I also start getting Shifting Earth events that change a part of the map to a special area with its own bosses and a side quest, if you can call it that. The first Shifting Earth I got was the crater, and during one of those expeditions my teammates actually went there and killed all the bosses, but I ultimately could not find the entrance and eventually just fallen into the lava. The mountain tops, on the other hand, were much easier to navigate, and at some point we skipped the mountain top dragon and went straight to the giant red marker on the map to get the favor of the mountain top. That halves frostbite damage and frost buildup. Not long after, I was lucky enough to be a part of the expedition where we destroyed everything on our path, and I managed to wreck level 15 before the Night 2 boss. Plague of Locusts is probably the most annoying raid. Not just because Noster's location isn't revealed on the map like the others, but also because the Locust explosion straight up eats your levels if you get caught in it. And there's no limit to it. If you're not careful enough, or the raid decides to start in the middle of a boss fight in a cramped castle basement, you can go back to level 1 easy. Fortunately, we had a teammate who knew how to deal with it, while me and another guy were busy smacking the Earth-Tree avatar on its juicy booty. The third Giga Chat found Noster and made it cough up all our lost runes and levels. And if you're wondering how to defeat this raid, just follow the trail of locusts to a specific location and kill Noster, who has like 7 HP compared to the boss version. That's it. I also managed to scrape together some more merc and finally bought my first drip for Guardian. And here we go with the third raid we need to complete for the achievement, the Libra raid. Here, you suddenly get your HP cut by 30% and a big red spot on the map shows you the source of the curse. When you go there, you find Libra chilling and he will ask for 15k runes to lift the curse. What's interesting is that this raid is probably the most beneficial one. When you lift the curse, you also get a free buff from Libra. If you meet him outside of a raid, he offers buffs but with nasty trade-offs, like extra resistances at the cost of stamina. If you buy yourself out of the raid, you can actually pick any buff without the downside. On top of that, after choosing your buff, you can attack Libra for bonus runes and a dormant power. Absolute W. Finally, I managed to reach another boss. This time it's Caligo. I had this whole rant ready in my head about how I vehemently hate dragon fights in Soulsborne games because they usually lack any originality, but then I remembered that Placidus Axe and Bale are two of my most favorite fights in the entire series. So, in the end, I guess I don't hate all dragon fights, just the generic ones. And Caligo is exactly that. Even his design is boring. It's like someone at FromSoft meeting said, okay, take Sith, make him white and scaly, and I don't know, slap 4 wings on him so he looks kinda different. He doesn't even have the iconic laser beam or anything that feels like a proper climax. His ultimate move is flying around and throwing ice shards that usually miss even if you stand still. And his Everdark version is basically the same thing, except his breath turns purple, like he took communion at a SoundCloud rapper convention. So yeah, both versions go straight to D tier, sorry, not sorry. Rotted Greatwoods is probably my favorite Shifting Earth so far. It's cramped with bosses, easy to navigate, and doesn't waste your time. To uncover its secret, you're supposed to go all the way to the fort deep in the Rotted Woods and check the map in the tower. That reveals the location of a special flower that not only grants immunity to Scarlet Rot, which, surprise, is everywhere here, but also gives a nice HP boost. Or, and hear me out, you can just hop on the hawk at the edge of the Rotted Woods, fly across the zone, spot a giant tree with a giant blooming red flower. Boom. No need for the fort trip and you can focus on killing bosses. Finally, Libra was the next boss we defeated, and yeah, this one took a few tries. He's relentless, most of his attacks build up madness, and he basically has 3 phases. The normal one, the Berserk one if you manage to stun him out of meditation, and the Super Saiyan one if you don't. Honestly, this is one of the strongest fights out of all the Nightlords. Libra's design is great, and I love that he's weak to madness too, though good luck finding any Flame of Frenzy skills. F in the chat for our Revenant mains. Finally, he's not some giant Godzilla-sized monstrosity, it's a fight where you die because you suck, not because the boss is 14 stories tall and clipping through the arena floor. I'm looking at you, Maris. So Libra goes straight to A tier, and he doesn't have an Everdark version as of me writing this, but when he does, I really hope FromSoft doesn't disappoint. Finally, the last boss before the final one I defeated was Maris. Certified Cosmic Jellyfish and younger brother of the Elden Beast. I do think Maris and EB are the same species. Fight me. People say Maris is the most boring fight, but I don't know, it's fine. As long as you're not trying to run a 3-raider team with 2 colossal weapons and 0 stamina upgrades. Usually 1 Revenant with a lightning bolt can chuck like 80% of his health. It's pretty easy fight once you learn the mechanics. Also, if you stack resistances, you can fully negate his sleep ultimate since the build-up never reaches 100%. And of course, most damaging ults like Iron Eye, Wilder or Raiders can interrupt his ultimate. His Everdark version is a gimmick fight where he drops a legendary weapon with a dramatic name, something like Storm Ruler or Stormcaller or whatever sounds cool this week. You just charge it up and smack him across the map. Kinda fun, especially when he Mikiri dodges you like it's Sekiro. I think it's still B tier though, because the gimmick weapon kinda invalidates your whole build. And also because I always get the best weapons, spells and loot during Everdark Augur, and they immediately become useless. Classic. And speaking of Maris, I also got into his raid not long after. Basically, he will summon giant bubbles across the map that will teleport you to his location. He is even easier in this version, since the arena is the size of an office cubicle and he can't do his flying attacks. And not long after, I was also lucky enough to have a person in my team who knows the Noklatio routes. This is probably the coolest Shifting Earth in terms of the atmosphere. It just feels enormous, like it's the same size as the rest of the map. Probably because of narrow streets and verticality. I also like that scripted event in the outer corridors of the city, where this Black Blade assassin just casually walks in from around the corner like he's main character now. Other than that, we defeat Astel in the Cathedral, get a nice buff that provides the whole team with 1 free revive and get the achievement too. And finally, I made it to Holster. And my god, this was probably the most OP run I've ever had on Recluse. I had this absolute banger of a staff with both Rani and Renala's moon spells, a bunch of cracked passives, and just look at this damage. Overall, Holster is your typical final boss. It's Soul of Cinder all over again. His second phase, where he rips reality open in the sky, is such an awesome flex that I can't help but put him in S tier. He is fun, fair, and interesting to fight. And since he was the last Nightlord I needed to defeat, I got the Night Aspect achievement for beating Holster, Nightlord Conqueror for defeating all of them, and of course, we finally get to witness the ending. What exactly happens in it? No idea. I swear Soulsborne endings are like a dream you half remember after dental surgery. Alright, now let's move on to the cleanup. First off, I finally unlocked the Revenant, who I somehow missed entirely during the whole playthrough, even though I did buy the relic from the little jar. Here's how it works. You need to buy the mirror relic, find the Revenant ghost, fight her and her 3 summons, and after that, she becomes playable. Easy to miss, but absolutely worth it. By this point, the shifting earth had circled back to the crater. This time I was prepared. I didn't fall into the lava. We fought our way through the crater descent, defeated the magma worm, and unlocked a special altar that lets you upgrade any weapon to legendary. This is especially great if you are playing as a mage. I always end up with a grey or blue staff or seal that has the best bread and butter spell, and this event lets you upgrade it to legendary and boost its damage by like 100%. And with that, we unlocked both the crater and shifting earth achievement for finding all the secrets in all areas. I also managed to get many vessels for various characters. Not exactly clear how many you need, but I bought all vessels from the small jar, got maybe 2 or 3 unique ones from Remembrance quests, and also bought maybe 6 or 7 from the Everdark shop, and eventually it popped. So I guess it's around 25, but correct me if I'm wrong. And now, the final stretch. What I needed to do here was win with every Nightfarer and also get 3 wins in a row. After checking the match history, I realized I already had wins with most Nightfarers except for Duchess and Revenant, who I hadn't played at all. I had just defeated Everdark Adele, so if I could now win with Duchess and Revenant, I'd hit a triple kill of achievements. So I tried playing it safe, picked easier bosses. Went for Tricephalus with Duchess, it was smooth fight, no issues. Then I went for Maris with Revenant and got solid RNG, Grafted Dragon, Spiked Balls, and Lightning Spear to harass this big can of Blueberry Jerry. And just like that, I've got a champion's path for beating a Nightlord with every character, Nightlord Slayer for 3 wins in a row, and finally, the Platinum. Oh, and by the way, there's a lot of speculation online whether you need to defeat the Nightlord, in other words, Holster, or just any boss. And the answer is yes, just any boss with any Nightfarer, and the achievement should pop. So, final verdict on Elden Ring Nightreign. Here's how it stacks up. 7 for story. Yeah, it's fine, there's lore, there's atmosphere, there's probably a 40-minute variety video explaining why Holster is actually Recluse's son or some shit like that, but honestly, it's okay, and I like the remembrances. There's no achievements for completing them, which is a big L, but I did finish all of them and enjoyed the more straightforward approach to storytelling. We actually understand each character's motivation, there are cutscenes that explain most of their stories, subquests are nicely woven into the gameplay, and interaction between all 8 characters are actually quite meaningful and nice. Not the Bumbishart level of the original game, where you meet someone, hear a vague line of dialogue and find them dead 75 hours later. I especially liked running the Duchess Wilder pair in duo expeditions because, well, their remembrances are genuinely touching. I won't spoil it, but it made me want to edit a tearful AMV about them.
that saves me. And after all, you are my wonderboard.
Because maybe you are gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you are my wonderboard.
Because maybe you are gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you are my wonderboard.
9 for gameplay. This is where Nightreign actually flexes. The co-op roguelike structure works way better than I expected. The shrinking zones keep you moving, and most bosses feel awesome to fight. A lot of changes, like the absence of weight load and stat requirements for weapon spells, are actually great. I can finally try cool gear without making a new character and meticulously calibrating their build just to use one spell. That's probably shit anyway. So yeah, gameplay is easily the strongest part of this game. 8 for enjoyment. It's addictive, frustrating, and stupid fun. Even when you wipe on day 1 because your random teammate decided to solo a cursed camp at level 2, died to an invader and rage quit. 5 for trophy design. Yeah, well, 37 achievements isn't much. And why are there no trophies for completing Remembrances quests or for defeating the Everdark for the first time? You could easily add 5 or 8 more achievements, including a few grindy ones like defeat the holster with all characters or defeat all Everdark bosses, and bring it into 40 to 45 trophy range. And knowing FromSoft, even if we get a DLC of some sort for Nightreign, they probably won't add new trophies, just like they didn't for Shadow of the Erdtree or the Dark Souls 3 DLCs, which was a big letdown for me, to be honest. So yeah, overall it's 7.25, same score as I have for base Elden Ring, but for totally different reasons. I like the faster pacing of Nightreign and the small changes that complement it. That's it for my Elden Ring Nightreign Platinum run. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and help us hit 1000 subs before the end of the year. We are at 521 subscribers right now, so every click gets us closer. If you want to support the channel even more, check out the paid memberships. You'll get absolutely nothing for that, maybe some custom emojis, but yeah, thanks in advance, I guess. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next grind. Cheers!
Because maybe you are gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you are my wonderboard.
Because maybe.
By the way, have you ever thought about the fact that the word bed looks like a bed? Think about it.